All right, good morning and welcome back to Extension Connection. Hi, everybody. My name is Chandra Zeman-Belinsky. I'm the Family and Consumer Sciences Agent in Burleigh County, and I'm joined here by Bruce Schmidt. I'll let you introduce yourself, Bruce.
I am Bruce, and I am the Ag and Natural Resource Agent also in Burleigh County.
Yeah, so Burleigh County has the show this week, and we are excited to bring you a couple topics that, that have been pretty popular right now, at least with my programming. So I'm going to be talking to you today about a program that I developed with a local organization because we saw a need for it. And the topic is called downsizing. We also call it breaking up with your stuff is hard to do.
When I think of downsizing, the way that my wife and I had downsized for many years is we would just move. Every 3 years.
Right.
And it was just a natural way of downsizing. But it's not very realistic.
Yeah,
looking back on it.
Honestly, more power to you because that is stressful. I just did that.
Yes.
So did you guys get good at moving and downsizing?
I don't know if you
can
ever
always
get really good.
Right.
But I think we did learn some priorities.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I think I probably should have talked to you a little more before we did this because I still can't find my several boxes of shoes.
we went.
I'm chipping away.
You'll find like a TV remote. You won't find it until you buy the universal replation.
Yeah, and then you find it.
Yes.
Totally.
So.
I have one particular shower curtain that I cannot wait to find because, it was in new packaging. I was excited to get into a new house to put this theme up, which is kind of like a Zen theme. There's like these rocks that are really relaxing looking and stacked, and I can't find it. And so I'm sure the minute I buy a different theme,
That's right. Then you'll have. But
I refuse to do it. Well, fine, but that's true. And I'm all about themes. But let's keep going here with downsizing and the show. Also, Bruce, why don't you introduce what you're going to talk about a little later?
We're going to talk about an event that is going to be held at our 4-H building tomorrow. It's the Morton County Farm Bureau Ag Day.
Right.
And that's always been a very popular event. And again, visiting with what's scheduled to come in, it's going to be a great event.
Right. This is exciting. And actually, they were over in the Burleigh County 4-H building last year, which is where our offices are, east of town near Buckstop Junction. Yep. So the Joanne Hessel Memorial 4-H building, that's kind of our home. And, we have an arena back there.
Yes.
So it makes sense for this event.
It is. It really does. And, and it sounds like tomorrow is going to be a lot warmer. And we may actually be able to have some of our live animal exhibits outside.
Oh, goody, live animals.
Yes, we're going to have, I know of cow and a calf are coming in. We have some sheep, and I believe naturally there's going to have to be some lambs to go with the sheep.
Okay, sure.
And, that's what I know of as of
right now. Okay, last year there was a turkey, which was a big hit. Oh, yeah. Have you heard anything about that this year? I'm pretty sure there was a turkey.
They talked about having some poultry and some small animals.
Right.
So there could
they had
some
ducklings rabbits. And so the idea of Ag Day is to, bring familiarization to both youth and adults.
Yes. You hate to think that in North Dakota that we could lose connections with where our food comes from and understanding the ag industry, but it is slowly happening, and that's why I like this Ag Day is such a good event, and it's a free event. Mm-hmm. So parents can come out, even if you don't have kids and you just want to come out. It's going to run from 9 till 6 p.m. and it's free. You're going to have opportunity to look at some different animals, but there will also be the ag commodity groups there to talk about, the different uses, let's say like for soybeans. And just a very educational time also.
Yeah. Okay, that's exciting. I noticed that my husband and I go to Ramsey County in the summer a lot, where he likes to fish up there at Devil's Lake. And there's a lot of soybeans planted up in that area. There's like more and more soybeans around here.
And really, the articles and everything that we're reading right now, soybeans is going to be the crop that right now is the hot topic or hot crop.
That's interesting.
With less wheat. And, and if you think about
Wow.
Dakota's identity,
yeah,
is
wheat.
So
yeah, seriously.
Less planted acres of wheat possibly and more going into the soybeans.
So the last couple of years I always check USDA before I quote this for our third grade program we call it Life on the Farm. Mm-hmm. We target third graders and we always fill up with that. It's a week-long program that we do different 2-hour sessions with different third grade different elementary schools, but specifically third graders. And I always check to make sure I'm still quoting correctly, but North Dakota is typically the number one producer of wheat, Durham wheat specifically.
Yep.
And so I hope we still keep up with that because it's kind of cool to say. Yeah. I mean, but if soybeans are where it's at, it's where it's at.
Yep. And I think it's always been between all wheats, it's always been between North Dakota and Kansas. We kind of trade off, and usually it comes down to a weather factor. Who had the better weather.
Right. Well, that's fun. Okay, well, we'll come back to Ag Day. We'll kind of split it up.
Let's talk about your
downsizing. Well, I'll tell you what. This is a popular topic right now, and it does make sense that a lot of people are in this demographic. It's just something that you don't even think to talk about, or you don't think to seek help for it. You just think it's your problem. And so what we're talking about here is downsizing. Now, we've created a program that specifically targets downsizing later in life, but it can happen at any time. And so what I mean is you're 55 plus or even 65 plus, and you have lived in your house for 30 years. Some people much longer, some people less. I mean, even 5 years in your home, you have an opportunity to accumulate things that associate your heart associates with memories, with meaningful memories.
Exactly.
And, so what we're saying is now you've got to move. You need a ranch style where you don't have stairs, and you've got to get rid of some stuff. That's what this program is. And so whether it's moving, now the program targets, like I said, later in life, but whether it's just moving in general, typically, you want to get rid of stuff so you don't have to move it.
Right.
We give you some tips here. And so here in a second, we have to take a break. But, what we're going to do is we're going to talk about a couple different pieces under this umbrella of, number one, physically. We can teach you some great tips. You can pick up some good tips on how to box things or how to categorize things, or even, about 2 years you should get rid of your clothes if you don't ever wear them, or, we can give you tips like that. But the big piece that it's hard to find information on is truly the psychological piece, where it's hard for you. Right. And so we've got a couple tips. We've done some research thanks to Jane Strawman, PhD with NDSU Extension Services. Her office is in Fargo, and she also supports South Dakota Extension Service, so she's kind of a half and half, and she's helped me with this because this is her area. Okay. So we're going to share some of what we came up with this program after the break. All right. Thank you very much.
Right now, 19.
The home for ABC News at the top of the hour is Super Talk 1270.
Welcome back to Extension Connection. This is Bruce Schmidt, Burleigh County Ag and Natural Resource Agent, and we were talking before the break about downsizing, and we're going to come back to that, but I just want to quickly again give a promo for the Morton County Farm Bureau Ag Day, which is going to be held tomorrow at the 4-H Memorial Building out there by Buckstop Junction. And the time for the event is going to be from 9 in the morning till 6 p.m. And we're going to have a lot of special events. It's going to be free admission. There's a petting zoo, live animals. There's going to be a farm safety puppet show. I did a little plug. There's going to be Name the Calf contest, so I'm lobbying for it to be named Bruce the Calf. Now, I figured I'd get a plug in. I got to be named after something.
Hey,
so,
I like this. Amelia likes to do this too. Our 4-H Youth Development Agent. She always names the animals from Life on the Farm Week. Yeah.
So and I know we have a plant that's named in our office.
That's right. That's right. I'd been there a couple of years and I didn't even know they had a name, Fred, for the plant. My goodness.
So I thought that was kind of interesting. But we're just inviting. It's going to be fun for all ages, like I said. And come on out. Stay as long as you can. The weather's going to be great. So now let's get back to downsizing.
Okay, no problem. Thanks, Bruce, for covering there. Downsizing. Well, the first thing that I want to touch is, and actually just yesterday we had a nice panel with another organization who invited us in to talk about this, and one of the gals said, look, I can't get rid of some of this stuff. It's like painstaking for me to go in there and spend, the 12 hours that I need to, even an hour, she said. It's so painful because she misses her children. Because they're grown, and then her husband just passed away a year ago, and she doesn't want to get rid of the memorial cards and the guest book for that. And do you keep that stuff? It's very
Now we used to
heartfelt.
Coming from a background of my last 12 years of being in ministry,
right?
We always used to advise you don't want to do anything really drastic for the first year.
Okay,
is that still kind of? I mean, is that kind of a good rule of thumb? Because sometimes you can do it too fast, but you have to face it.
Right. Well, and you know what? I mean, that's a good rule of thumb, I think. I just gave a program from our annual CD, Family and Consumer Sciences with NDSU Extension, has about 6-7 annual programs that we come out with. This 2016 to 17 CD had one about depression later in life. And they had a slide in there. This is where I'm referencing now. The difference between grief and depression.
Okay, right.
And they actually said for grief, up to 6 months or so. Okay. But to me, I feel like it easily could be longer. And you don't necessarily need to label yourself as having, a full-blown issue. But there's nothing wrong with recognizing depression either. Right. So maybe we need to respect what the slide said and what the research said there. 6 months to a year, anything beyond a year, it may be clinical, and you may need to definitely see somebody.
And that's I guess that's kind of the, like I said, that's a starting point. But we always told them you will have to
that's good.
Day soon,
maybe
come to face
address
to face.
It.
Yes.
Yeah. And again, I would just want to say that if you do find yourself in that demographic that, there's checklists to determine if you are depressed or not, I would say that I want to empower those of you who are interested in maybe thinking that, about getting help for depression, whether it's losing somebody, whether it's downsizing, whether it's any subject, and I'm very open about my struggles with PTSD because I think people aren't able to talk about it enough. And so I consider it a character strength, not a character flaw, if you are able to seek help. So let's go back to the psychology of downsizing. And I want to give you a couple tips on shifting the mindset of it's too hard to do, because I totally recognize it. And know that some of us absorb that emotion a little differently than others. Some people, our brains are wired more logically. Sure, we aren't robots and we have human emotion, but some of us wear our emotions on our sleeves, and that is, we want to recognize that there are all different kinds of personalities and they're all important.
Right.
So if I'm more logical than you, Bruce, and you cry a lot about it, that doesn't mean that there's a problem. It's you process it differently. And we want to, a lot of people have the I'm right, not you on keeping this argument. And it's not how it should be.
And sometimes I'm going to guess that is a family member or
it's sometimes kids versus parents.
Yes.
The parents think they need the stuff saved and the kids don't want it.
Yes.
That too. So, or spouse or whatever, So tips on shifting the mindset. Well, what we want to say first and foremost is recognize that it's hard. Don't fight it. It's very important to just let that flow. And it's amazing, even just hearing that, it kind of flips you around to, I'm not going to, it's a mindset. And it's amazing how it can shift and you're able to tread water a little bit easier. So recognize it, face the feelings, we call it. So if trinkets can bring up memories. That's why we say things have sentimental value. And so maybe you might see a trinket that brings you anger, but let it be. And especially those that are hard, that are sad, and you associate maybe a past spouse or your children being young and they're grown now and they don't visit as much as you want them to. So that's hard to do. Recognize it. We'll give you some more tips here as we go. But don't fret. It's a mindset again.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So what we say is start by building your sorting muscle. So, it's almost, I equate this to when you start to work out. Okay, so it's hard to just start. You just think of every reason to put that off.
All the good excuses.
Yes. And so what we're saying is maybe with working out, you just say, I'm just going to get on the treadmill and do what I can. 1 minute, because I wasn't doing a minute yesterday. It's amazing how that turns into 10 minutes.
Okay.
And while you're there, you might as well do 15. Once you've got your shoes on and the dog's leash on, you're willing to go a little longer. Right. And so it's the same with sorting and downsizing. And so some people, I just say, maybe it's painful. You don't even want to start. Well, just open the closet. You don't even have to start sorting. Just get it open. Because then you might have some ideas and it might build onto something. Okay. And then also a couple other tips is you maybe start with rooms that are easier. So don't start with all the trophy room from your children and how good they were. I mean, I can imagine our claim here with Carson Wentz and his parents and all these trophies, right? I'm so proud of that young man because, just the Bismarck guy in him. Yep. And so, can you imagine? I mean, even my parents here and our level of, we did pretty well at swimming in my house and soccer and things like that. And so growing up, it's hard to look at those trophies because they're not home and you're not doing it anymore. Yeah. Don't start with that then if it's hard. So start with the garage. Right. Yeah. Start with the basement. Whatever, maybe the basement, in our case, sometimes my mother-in-law gets a little overwhelmed because that's actually where all of her craft stuff is. And a lot of people have trouble getting rid of their craft stuff, even if they haven't done it in the last 15 years, because they want to do it still.
Because I'm going to get to it.
Yeah, they're going to get to it.
I have a bunch of model trains.
Yeah, do you? Okay.
Yes, I had the HO size, and then I never had big enough room, so I've got it in the boxes. So then I bought the smaller size, the N size, and I've got that all laying around, but I just don't.
You can't get rid of it.
No, well, I need to though, because I've realized I don't want to do this.
Okay.
I thought it was a great idea 5 years ago. Right. And now it's just like, oh, man, I'm just kind of dreading this.
Right, I know. Have you considered, maybe like what your idea is of maybe what you can do with that? Okay. This is a perfect example of how we work through this.
And what I did is I have a bookshelf, and instead of having a big layout, I just have a little scene with 3 or 4 of the locomotives and some of the grain cars and a grain elevator. So I have that
great example.
Small scene. But it doesn't take up.
It doesn't have to take over your house.
Exactly.
And no, that's a beautiful example. Just before the break, I want to give you another example of how to do something like this. So it has to do with the psychology as well. So you have been collecting, and the example is teapots for the last however many years. And maybe you picked up a beautiful one when you visited your family heritage, back in Norway or Germany or whatever it is. And so these can come from around the world. Well, what you can do, obviously you can't keep 85 teapots, especially when you move to a condo from a, 4,000 square foot house or something. And so what you do, you can hire a photographer to take a picture of every one of these teapots so that you don't lose the memory of it. Put it into a small little, memory book, little photo book. Keep your 3 top. Display that photo book with those 3 tea kettles.
Oh, what a good idea.
And the photographs can be beautiful. And so just an idea, like you say, a small display. Yep. And so maybe you can photograph the other stuff you have. Yeah. We're going to take a break. There's a lot more about downsizing and Egg Day.
Right now, 19.
Here's Sean Hannity, weekday afternoons on Super Talk 1270.
All right, welcome back to Extension Connection. You're with the Burleigh County staff this week, and my name is Chandra Zeman-Belinsky. I'm the Family and Consumer Sciences Agent, joined by Bruce.
And I'm Bruce Schmidt, Ag and Natural Resource Agent.
Okay, so we're talking about something that it's interesting once you start talking about downsizing.
Downsizing, yes.
Taking your house down from, something that maybe you've lived in the last 10, 20, 30 years, and we're targeting those who are later in life, but once you start talking about this subject applies to me. I just, my husband and I just took our two houses, put them together, and we've been in this house for this is week 3 now. It applies to Bruce.
Yes.
You've did a lot of moving, but you still have your stuff that you don't want to get rid of because it's,
with 3 grown children,
right?
We still have not a lot of items, but for my son, because he just purchased his house.
Yeah, right.
So we still have some of his stuff. And, there again, he was an athlete, and we've got, the stuff all in boxes. Right. And when he was here a week, he was part of the West Fargo Packers basketball coaching staff. So they were in town for the Class A, and I was like, so can we send your stuff back with you?
Right.
And he gave me that look.
Right.
Like, are
really?
you kidding me?
I know. My very first apartment, my mom gave me the sewing machine she's been saving from her mom. And it's like, I'm going to school. I don't need the sewing machine. Yes. And that's actually a good example.
Yeah.
And so if there's one thing that you can remember about the downsizing process is, sure, you are not your kid's attic, is what we say. Okay, so fine. But you may be saving something, and the numbers are staggering. We don't have specific research, so I don't want to throw it out. But just as I poll different crowds talking about it, it's almost always what you're saving is not what your children want.
Exactly.
Please, if anything, and now that's really hard to absorb. Remember, let's let it be. Let's absorb it and then let it flow. But what you might be saving that's important to you for your children to have might not be important to your children. Yep. And so I have found that if anything, what you can do is, sometimes if they understand the history of it, maybe have a little history lesson. Actually invite them over for dinner. Kind of make a big deal out of it. Invite them over for dinner. Help them to understand why this is important. Not everybody appreciates history like the next person, but that might help. And, the importance of keeping it in the family and moving it on. But, sometimes if it's your treasure, maybe there's a legacy that happens to be outside of the family that the next party would appreciate it just as much as you did.
Right.
And sometimes you've got to look a little bit for that.
So is it a good idea, because and your children are just, in those younger age group coming up in school, but, we have the tendency to save everything from the school, their first handwriting, to their coloring. And it's just like you kind of save that, and then you do a big thing at high school graduation. And then it's just like, should we give them permission just to throw it away if they don't want to keep it?
I know. And, we don't have any one right answer for that. Man, it's tough. I mean, I was telling you an example of one of the gals that didn't want to get rid of her husband's memorial stuff. That was just a little over a year ago now. And, if you say you got a year to grieve, well, I don't know. I never put a time frame on it. But, that's if it's too painful yet, go to something next. Go to something next.
Exactly.
Give it time.
There's other rooms. There's other
something else right
battles.
Now.
I guess.
Yes. So start with the easy stuff. And so then here's the thing. Maybe you hang on to your good stories, but maybe if you can take the stories out of the trinket. And so if you can find another way to hang on to the stories, I use the example of taking photographs of your teapots and then giving most of them away. And sometimes, you'd be surprised at the historical places, even if it's just the local town has a little museum. They might be interested in your tractor collection or your doily collection or, your bridesmaid, whatever you sewed. I mean, so that's the thing.
The interesting thing there is my parents, who are up in age, have the Max Museum.
Hey, the Max Museum.
The Max Museum, right on Main Street. And
cool.
in the Max Museum is our...
Yeah.
I mean,
this kind of stuff.
People can bring, things, old cheerleading outfits from the 50s, from the Max Cossacks, And
it's on display. It's not in a box.
It's on display. And it's now the bad side is eventually I'm going to inherit that. So I'm not, it's something that, but for a community, when we have the all-school reunions and things like that, it is a big hit. Someplace to go in
for sure.
and see those. So, to seek that out, like you said, with the teapots, and donating them.
Donate it.
Especially if there's some kind of a tie back to that local community.
There you go.
I think that's a great idea.
Right. And then we have a suggestion to creating a memory book. So even if it doesn't go to the local, museum type, like you just said in Max, that's a great one. Maybe you create a memory book. And so you can recall your memories, hang on to those stories, celebrate the good times. A lot of times, again, have them over for dinner, whatever it is. Maybe you do your every couple years memory dinner. But you can create a memory book for your home. Okay. And remember, home, it truly is where the heart is. It doesn't have to be in a specific house. And so, we just want you to think along the lines of a new home awaits you. So you can create a memory book. You can still get rid of the trinkets instead of saving those that you associate with the memories. Maybe taking pictures is effective.
Right.
And, Shutterfly.com or Snapfish or whatever. I'm not endorsing any one particular site, but you can create these hardbound books for pretty reasonable with these sites through pictures and things.
One of the things, too, that we were the generation as our kids were growing up, and we were the VHS. The videos and now, it's even hard to find a place to, how do you show them, number one? And we don't have the photos.
Right.
Because we did the videos. And we're kind of like looking back at it going, oh, man, we missed an opportunity.
Interesting. Well, and then along those lines, I have people ask, well, what do you do with your old 8-track or whatever videos from family? And and I can tell you that maybe I had that question yesterday, I had that question last week, so I should probably call a couple vendors in town. But I do know that some of the companies, there's a couple that will take those and put them onto DVD for you.
Oh. Zuvio in Mandan does it.
Zuvio in Mandan?
Yeah, Marlo Anderson.
Okay, great.
Thank you.
Great. Thanks, Jim.
That is really good information because...
Well, Marlo works here, so I figured I'd give him a plug.
Hey, you bet. Okay. So, Bruce, there's some answers there, so I should do a little research there.
Yeah, because, it is something, you don't think about it.
Right. Absolutely.
That was everybody. I can think of the school programs, and you'd have in the balcony, and you'd have 30, 40 parents with the big old cameras.
100%.
And
100%.
And it's just like, man.
And you saved up for months to buy that thing.
Yeah. And there is a lot of memories out there that, my age group that are kind of struggling with it right now going,
Bruce, that's a great, we can, this is a piggyback off of this because.
I think you've got another.
Well, my husband keeps bugging me that we need to, because my dad, he has this recurring dream. He never dreams, but this is the only dream he talks about. I dreamt that you were all home again. And I've got to get those family movies out from the farm. They're out there and, get cold, get hot in the summer, get cold, get hot in the summer in the storage unit we've got out there that's not temperature controlled or insulated. And we've got to get those things in here and put them on DVD so we can watch them.
So, Jim, now, does he also have the capability of doing like the old 8mm? And then I think there was maybe even 16mm, the reel-to-reel?
I don't know for a fact. He could probably, if not, I would imagine that Marlo could steer you in the right direction.
Okay.
He could tell you who could.
Yeah.
Well, we'll do that, Bruce. So, my friends, if you want to give us a call and maybe give me a week or something like that and find out what I've come up with, our number is 221-6865. Give me a call at the office.
Yeah, I think it'd be something that, again, there's a population out there that, approaching that 60, that was the big thing when when our children were growing up. And, and now if we can help the public,
that's right,
save those memories, downsizing is going to be easier for them.
Right. And I tell you what, if you're listening and you're thinking about how can I start my own business, heck, I think there's a business here.
Yeah,
you know, so we'll find out who's doing it already and maybe flow some business toward you. But, you know, we're just about to take a break, but I do want to mention one other. Now we'll get back into the physical tips of how to downsize your home effectively and in an organized manner. And we, in addition to, you know, the videos that you can now put onto current media, use technology to do this. So if your one child might be overseas right now studying or something, or maybe in the military, and one child, you know, you're living here in North Dakota, so somebody's over in Italy, and then somebody might be in Arizona because her spouse took her there or something. So your kids could be all over the place. Well, take advantage of that technology out there that you can video conference in. So schedule a date where you're both available, and maybe you then open up the jewelry cabinet and say, girls, pick what you want. And you can show it on Skype or on FaceTime or whatever, and everybody can decide, you know, what they want, what they don't want. Maybe you have to figure out, well, 2 people want it. We're going to have to decide here. But use the technology to have scheduled video chats. It's very effective. You don't have to schedule a trip all the way over, you know, or if you don't want to spend time breaking stuff up, you want to enjoy the holidays, you know, this is an option. Well, we're going to take a break. We'll come back and talk a little bit about sorting options when you're downsizing your home, and then again, Ag Day.
Right now, 21.
The Red River Farm Network. Ag News is here on Super Talk 1270.
All right. Welcome back to Extension Connection. You're here with Burleigh County this week. We're having a good conversation over here when we go on break. I kind of look forward to the breaks, but we almost should keep it live because it'd be interesting, right?
Yeah, we cover some good topics off topic.
Well,
too.
And these are, you know, when you have a good topic, when you have a good program like we try to develop with Extension, you know, you have a lot to talk about. So downsizing, we're talking about taking your home down from, you know, 4,000 square feet to maybe 1,000 square foot condo.
Right. And you're going to kind of hit on that physical, which is, I think that's really, again, very timely for me because with my parents in a tuck under garage, 16 steps, you know, versus...
Well, they're still in that type of home. Yeah.
And versus the patio-type homes that are available. So go ahead.
Absolutely.
Let's hear some more.
So, and actually, while we talk about one of our tips to physically downsizing, we've already touched on the psychological, you know, let it be. We know it's hard to do, and start with the easy stuff, the low-hanging fruit. But we suggest... I just use the number because it's easy to figure out, but maybe you have a 4,000 square foot home and you're going to a 1,000 foot condo, or a 2,000 square foot home and you're going to less than that. Do the math, okay, because it gives you an idea. If you were to pack that whole house up, or if you were to look at, you know, I sometimes even, and that's the green in me, my green scientific personality, but I even like to get graphing paper out so I can see how things fit nicely. So a square is like, you know, 10 square feet or 1 square foot or something. Do the math. So if you go from 4,000 to 1,000 square feet, keep a fourth of the stuff.
Okay.
Truly, that's how it goes. And every interior designer that, or, you know, decorator or organizer that hears my pitch totally agrees. You see a lot of nodding because they couldn't agree more. And so you probably need to keep a fourth of your furniture. So there's some characteristics we suggest to having kind of your solid pieces that you love the most, but maybe it's your more light, your more nimble pieces that maybe they're not, you know, actually the heavier solid wood, but you can move them easier. So whatever's important to you, you have to decide the characteristic, but it's about a fourth of the stuff if you're going to a fourth of the space.
Right.
Or half of the space, you get rid of half your stuff. And so truly you can, I mean, that's easy for us to kind of picture in our garage right now because, you know, we've got X number of boxes and, well, we took 2 homes and put them into one. So this one is a big house, but, you know, 2 homes into one, you've got to get rid of some stuff.
Right. But you do have the natural duplication of items.
For sure.
Again, you can start with the easy things.
Right. But believe it or not, coffee mugs and dishes are not easy for us. Okay. My husband's tied to his coffee mugs. But there are easy things. I mean, there are easy. You've got cutting boards. You don't need all of them. So even when you're in the kitchen, there's easy stuff.
And I suppose you pick your battles a little bit.
Right.
And
that's right.
Compromise That's right. on some items.
It's funny because my husband and I have very different but yet very similar personalities. Some things are very different. Some things are similar. We don't seem to have an issue with what stuff we want hung on the walls.
Okay.
We have an issue with how fast we're going to do it. My husband wants it set up now. He wants to invite people over now. And I want to clean it before it comes in. I want to make sure that the room themes aren't all over the place. I don't want fishing stuff everywhere in the house. I want it in a couple of rooms. That's it. So that's where we have an issue.
It's packaged ready.
Yes, exactly. That's where we're at with the differences. But, we also don't have an issue with what we name our kids. Really important stuff that seems like a lot of people, disagree on. But, making, for us, the happiness of my spouse is just as important as my happiness. So that, a lot of this is learning communication skills. I was just
thinking that.
Yeah.
It is so... And again, if you think about it, because we're touching a lot of different situations. You're talking about those that maybe have lost a loved one and they're forced to downsize. You think about those whose children just have moved out, and those are looking at downsizing. And then also you have those that are just starting in life. And you've just gotten wedding gifts, and
that's true.
All of a sudden you have more stuff than your apartment or your small house can hold. So, I mean, this is really a topic for all age groups.
Right. And so I guess, if you think about it, a lot of us like estate sales or maybe even a good garage sale. Mm-hmm. And if you think about, there's always that moving sale. Makes it appear to be a more exciting sale. There's some truth to that. Every one of us has this issue, probably. I think.
If you look at the ads, there's a moving sale.
Right.
That you move that one up to the top of the list.
Right. Okay. So along the lines of those being, an effective communicator, there is a job for you. If you happen to be kind of an objective person, you could be a helper, kind of a mediator between two parties if they're not seeing eye to eye on how to downsize. And this happens a lot.
Okay.
It comes up almost every time I talk about the subject. I need somebody who's kind of a mediator because I think I'm right. And, the important thing is not necessarily being right, but everybody gets what they need out of it. Mm-hmm. And because there are different personalities, we have to recognize that. Some people really, really associate their stuff with memories. Some people are just throw it all. Yep. And that is relative to our personalities. You cannot rewire that. So there is a job for you if you're an objective helper. It's good to have somebody who knows a little bit about both of your personalities to recognize when you're giving a little or giving too much or not bending enough. Maybe you're digging your heels in. That mediator can help based upon knowing your personality. A couple other things. We haven't talked about the simple things, but there is some serious power to clear totes. Totes can organize you. Put stuff in a tote if that's where you want to start. Mm-hmm. Also, for those of you who like colors, get those Post-it notes or whatever sticky notes, and colors can be your friend. Put a color on the furniture that's definitely going to go into the new home, a color on the furniture that's donated, a color on the stuff that's going to be thrown, the stuff that goes to a certain child. Start color coding. Okay. So when the moving company comes in, you can easily tell them where to put stuff. Moving companies go to the places to donate stuff, so they can make a stop for you too. So that's nice.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, they will absolutely do that. And so, but here's the thing. Remember, we said one thing, if you can absorb this out of anything else, know that what's important to you might not be important to the next generation.
Right.
It hurts to say that. Right. But give them a choice. It will make you all much happier. They don't want to disappoint you. I can't say no to my grandma. She keeps stuff that I'm not sure if I want, but I want anything she gives me because it reminds me of her. And so then, it might not ever come out. But, okay, so give them a choice.
Yeah, I think of salt and pepper shakers.
Yes, me too.
Mean, you know,
the spoons.
The spoons,
You know, yeah,
yes.
yeah. So, you know, you kind of have to sort out things I love versus things you're willing to part with. And if you can't decide, you can say to yourself, am I willing to be this trinket's caretaker? Am I willing to have to take care of all this stuff? You know, you truly have to dust it and wash it. And okay, so have that type of mindset. So that's more on the downsizing program. And if you need me to come in, I'd be happy to talk about this program with you. So my numbers at the office are Burleigh County Extension 221-6865. Let's plug a little bit about a program that's going on at the office tomorrow. It's Morton County Egg Day over at the Extension office in Burleigh County.
Yep, and the times are going to be from 9 till 6, free admission.
This is tomorrow.
Tomorrow. Yep. And, you know, we're going to have live animals there, baby calves, baby lambs. We're going to have a sheep shearing demonstration.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And there's some farm safety puppet shows that are going to be held, I believe, about every 30 minutes.
Yeah.
So they're going to be kind of going on and off. But it is, again, I think there's going to be something for every age group.
Right.
Just come on out.
All ages.
Good, fun activity. Weather sounds like it's going to be great.
Right.
So there's... no reason not to come.
Yeah, I mean, and these types of events, I am all over when I can bring my children with me. Because when you're a working parent, or even if you're not, the more time that you are away from your parents, the less you want to be involved in these activities.
Right.
So bring your kids.
Bring your kids.
If you don't have kids around, you know, come anyways is what we're saying, because you'll learn something.
Bring your grandkids.
Yeah, that too. So great. I'm excited about Egg Day. I will be helping with one of the booths where we talk a little bit about making healthy choices and how you know, maybe where does a hamburger bun come from? That's a little harder. Kids get that the hamburger comes from livestock or from beef typically, but where does the hamburger comes from? The wheat that we grow here in North Dakota typically. So,
it's connecting that.
What food group does that go into, and how much should you eat? Half of a bun is one serving. So we'll talk about that tomorrow in my little booth. So
I'll probably have to sit on that one.
Whether you want to or not.
I'm going to have to learn that. How much do I eat?
Well, thanks for joining us this week, everybody. The Extension Connection. We enjoy bringing you a little bit about what's going on, as well as, sharing some of our programming information with you. Till next week.